It's time to test a few combinations and units out there in Legacy of the Void Starcraft 2 expansion. Obviously there were quite a few fat patches, so over time things change, and now it's 2018 February and in the current game version we have these units right here. Hopefully this won't be changed too much and we'll just see Starcraft 3 coming out, but so far so good. Let's test a few plays right there. Now, first things first, I want to kind of show you the Infestor. And these are two Infestors right here. One of these costs 100 minerals and 150 gas, so that's quite a bit for gas. And then there's the Hydralisk, and this force right here is worth 1200 minerals and 800 gas, so that's quite a bit of gas. And let's go for an army of Terrans. As you can see, this is a hefty force right here, and let's see how they would bear. Without a doubt, the Terran would win without taking much damage whatsoever. Now let's find out what would happen if Infestors would be present. It looks like I didn't choose the upgrades. Now the Marines obviously have shields, and Infestors have their abilities on. Now, as previously, this time the Infestors will be able to use their abilities, however, they will be facing tougher Marines. Now, let's see how this would go. And as you can see, the Marines took a lot more damage, and the surviving Marines were pretty much damaged to the limit there. So these two Infestors right here have proved to be extremely effective against Terran. Let's not forget that these Infestors have 200 energy, and this may not be that much in a real game, so probably in a real game we wouldn't be launching a lot of these Infestor attacks, no doubts about that. In any case, we could probably launch two and see how this works out. I already did this, and the Marines took quite a bit of damage. However, this scenario right here is not the real scenario that would turn out, because normally in this kind of biocomposition the Terran would have at least 4 or 5 medevacs, and he would have something like 5 or 10 Marauders. And so that's that. These Marauders would have this upgrade, Convulsive Shells. Units hit by Marauders are temporarily slowed down. The Marines would have shields on them, which would increase their health, and the Zerg player would probably have maybe a few roaches, because this at this stage of the game may not be that big of a deal. So let's have 5 roaches, a few Hydralisks out there, 2 Infestors, a bunch of Banelings, and this army right here would accumulate to 50% of my opponent's force. And let's take a look how this would turn out. As you can see, the Terran would be consistently healed after infestor attack. However, in the real game as well, we could have a lot more units on the Zerg side. You see, in this kind of infestor play, banelings are of utmost importance. However, you can see that the gas requirement here is just crazy. However, on the Terran side, the supply issue is a big deal nonetheless. Let us do this again now and see how this would work out. And the banelings would have a very hard time closing up on the Marines, and this would create big problems. Furthermore, the infestor has other abilities such as infest a turn, so these can be dropped. However, they wouldn't do much if they are dropped during battle, and it would pretty much be the very end. Now, what does Zerg player has to do? It has to drop these infested turns a lot earlier than he would otherwise be doing, and then the attack should commence. Infestor should always go back after throwing down this fungal growth, or after the Marines, after the infested Terran Marines have been sent out. Furthermore, Infestor can have neural parasite. Target unit is controlled by the infestor for 11 seconds. The infestor cannot take any other action while controlling an enemy unit. So what can we do about it? Well, maybe we can take control of those medivacs. However, unfortunately I was only able to pick up one of these, and at the same time that puts infestor in a serious trouble. So what can I say? One infestor in here wasn't enough, and 2010 gas is just way out of proportion. So let's try doing the same thing, just having 3 infestors, and they are on full health, and they would probably be at the back of all the units. So let's take a look how this would look like. Okay, they would at all times bunch up. Anyway, let's see how this plays out now. And we could as well drop a few more turns, infested turns. In any case, it seems that our Terran opponent here does have an upper hand. So for the Zerg here, fighting the Terran is certainly very hard. However, in the mix we could add a few links and have still 2 infestors. Let's take a look how this would play out, and let's begin. I kinda hope that the links would take a lot of pressure off, but it seems that it's just not working out. So this army right here would be a standard standard go-ahead term force, and this could be a sort of a little bit wounded or kind of special Zerg force, right? Because this force right here is very gas intensive. It costs 1,000 gas to go with that. So let's take a look what else can be added to this mix. So there's a Viper too. Now, what do the Vipers do? We'll soon find out. So this was a battle without using infestors and Vipers. And it seems that I just got a few 2 Vipers. Now, what does the Viper do? Let's find out. Consume. Latches into the target structure, dealing 200 damage and restoring 3.5 energy to the Viper every second. Lasts for 14 seconds. Viper has an attack of 16. Weapon speed 1.4. Can he attack units? Oh, that wasn't a Viper. Let's reset that. Looks like... looks like these units are being a little bit clumped up there. Okay, that will certainly be a much better. However, I've kind of believed that they were a little bit too far away. In any case, hopefully that's a little bit realistic. Armies are moving, orders are issued to attack. And let's take a look at the Viper. Previously I selected Roach, unfortunately, so that's that. As you can see, Viper cannot attack. So a Roacher was underneath Viper, selected the Roach, thought that Viper can attack, however that's not going to happen. A Viper only going to have Zerg Flyer Carapace upgrade, so pretty much just simply protecting itself from the attacks. So what it can do, consume, as I previously mentioned, pretty much attacks buildings, dealing 200 damage. It can attack its own buildings, enemy buildings. It's good to attack your own buildings, such as gas geysers, when you want to increase your energy level so that you could cast abilities. Then we have up the pulse target unit to a location of the Viper. So you may ask how that could be of use. Well, as you may know, a Terran could use tanks and kind of try to bait you into fighting you with these tanks. As you can see, it would be really bad, really quickly, if those tanks are out there. They would, with the relative ease, be able to blast through. However, if we have a Viper, things are a little bit different. So this is what Terran may expect of you. He knows you're here, he sieges his tanks like that, he sees that you move out and attacks you. Right? So he's baiting you in, and he's on control of this area, no doubts about that. And he can retreat here with a relative ease, not let you kind of go too close to him, because then the tanks would do friendly damage, because they would explode their shells close enough. So how to go about this? Well, you have to kind of feel the range. Obviously the range is huge, right? It certainly is huge. And that's quite a bit indeed. In order for me to do this right, I have to get these as close as possible. And just like that, I could try and bait them in. And so now I have this area cleared so far. So that's a good thing. The same goes with Thors. We can just kind of bring them in, or battle cruisers and so on and so forth. Colossus units that are quite fragile when attacked heavily. Then we have a blinding cloud. Creates a cloud for 6 seconds and reduces attack range of ground units and structures underneath to melee range. And they pretty much have to come really close then in order for them to shoot. So let's see how this strategy of ours would work out on the field. So we need to throw fungal growth, and we need to use a blinding cloud in order to fight them effectively. And because the infestors rule over everybody else, we have to hotkey. So second on these infestors, and for example third on the vipers. Besides that, it creates a parasitic bomb. Creates a parasitic cloud that deals 120 damage over 7 seconds to the target on enemy air units nearby. If the target dies, the cloud remains in the air where the enemy died until it expires. So that's not bad against air units. Now let's find out how things would work if we would have to use this. Right, so this is a proper, very tough Terran force, and let's see if we can do anything about this. Okay, and obviously that did some damage to the Terran, no doubts about that. So what would happen if I would have a larger number of investors? So now these guys right here could potentially harm. Now because Infestor's ability is timed damage, so target unit takes 30 damage over 3 seconds and have movement speed reduced by 75%, reveals cloaked units and burrow units. That means this has to be shot out first. Now the unit speed is reduced through this ability, and the Viper ability, the blinding cloud, will effectively make Terran units come really close, and this would make damaged Terran unit under fungal growth to move into a melee range in the blinding cloud. So let's try this out and see what can we do about that. As you can see, we did an interesting play there, and that certainly harmed the Terran a little bit more. Now what I found a little bit concerning is that the Viper needs a click on B and the infestor on F, so it wouldn't be bad if I just have them both on F. You have 2 inbound hotkeys. Are you sure you want to save? Yes, save. I hope that does not affect other units. Okay, it looks like it would affect other units. Or no? No. It's still F. Was this? And did I just did something wrong? I'm sure I changed. Yeah, I selected this, so I better do that on hotkey inbound. And here I could as well put B, right? Restore B. So I'll have F as the primary, B as an alternative, and that's nice. Furthermore, let's go back and see what are our other abilities out there. So you have F to attack buildings, X to explode, so why not changing this around? Better have F here and X there. And enable structure attack. And you have X here, and that's pretty much good. Disable structure attack prevents buildings from automatically targeting structures. Buildings can still be explicitly ordered to attack structures. Buildings delay the damage to structures. Buildings detonate where it is standing, damaging nearby units and structures. So I bet that base attack that Bailing does is 80. That's probably exactly what it means. So now it's F. F is just a little bit closer, right? Then we have Corrosive Bile, which could as well be F. So, and C. In this case, I'll have these abilities where I want them. So, at the same time, there's going to be the standard ability. Alright. Then we have Corruptor. Caustic Spray emits a stream of acid that deals 7 damage per second for 4.3 seconds, then increases to 35 damage per second. And I wonder, does this affect only air units or all units? Spawn Locust. Spawns 2 Locusts. Locusts have a 18-second time frame. Timed life, I mean. Spawns 2 Locusts. Locusts have an 18-second timed life. So I'm going to have these damaged abilities so far on F. And that pretty much means that this ability that's on F will do damage. Let's go back here to the Viper for a bit and let's take a closer look. Parasitic Bomb on R, that's fine. I want these quite close. D is good. C, leeches on target structure is fine too. Then we have a Locust. Z, Swoop Z orders a Locust to land at the target location, allowing it to attack. So I'll better change, or better leave this here. B maybe? No. F. Attack, fine, or maybe restore. So F and Z, done. After that we have this infestor that we have already changed a little bit. So that's for the turn, that's for fungal growth, and that's for neural parasite. Target unit is controlled by the infestor for 11 seconds. The infestor cannot take any other action while controlling an enemy unit. And this one needs to be researched at Infestation Pit. Infestation Pit is very important because then you can further increase your upgrades and help your hive. Then there's Ultralisk, Broodlord, Broodling. These ones come out when the Broodlord attacks. Then there's this one right here on Overlord. Morph to Overseer B, generate Creep G, mutate Ventral Sac, so that will allow him to station units in there. Fine. Overseer, spawn a Changeling, contaminate target. Structure will be unable to train units or research objects for 21 seconds. Let's change this into F. Alright. Then we have an Oversight. That's on W. Oversight grants an Overseer 25% wider vision, but removes its ability to move. This ability can be concealed or cancelled after activation. So this ability can be cancelled after activation. Okay. Then we have the Queen, Larva V, Transfusion T, and Creep C. Okay. Borrow R, Changeling, and this Infestor right here. That's Larva. DVZRH. TCFAEO Hydralisk. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to change this to G, because G is just a little bit closer, and I will be constructing many of these, no doubts about that. And Zergling Z is such a mess to press. I'm gonna do this into C, into T, maybe, or maybe it's best to not change anything just yet. And you certainly have to be on T. A, Locust, Ultralisk, Viper, T, alright. Then we have the buildings here. S, Q, morphs into Zerg unit. G, set worker rally point. Y, set rally point. L, mutate into lair. That's far away, but it's fine. Most likely click on it, and that's that. So spine crawler, other buildings, GH, D, GE, AC, AC, N. Okay, CC, and that's the Nidus Worm itself. That's the Nidus network. Okay, what do we have in bound? Unit management next subgroup. Have to a little bit test this, how this works. It probably goes from 1, 2, 3. You can do this, you can kind of click, have defense, I guess. Maybe if you have something lined up from 6, 7, from like, if you have somebody lined up from 6 to 9, and you would think that you would have to move your hand too far away from the keys like A, C, Shift, CTRL, it could be good to just kind of click something like E and just get to like quickly 6, bam, do activate something against E, to 7, activate something. So maybe it's this way, but I'm not sure exactly how this works. I never tested this, so I may be just being wrong. Alright, your active hotkey profile is stored on Blizzard services and is available from any machine you log into. I think that is awesome. Okay, let's take a look how that bears now. So we know that if we press F, we're going to attack ground units with this being. somehow going to hinder ground units. Alright. R isn't really the good key here, because R is mostly a good key to borrow. So maybe I should change this into something else. And let's go once again to hotkeys. Let's go to Zerg. Let's select Viper. And that's attacking air units. Creates a parasitic cloud that deals 120 damage over 7 seconds to the target and enemy air units nearby. If the target dies, the cloud remains in the air where the enemy died until it expires. So let's have this E and on R, right? So I'll always be able to use this ability with a natural key too. Now I want to know, are there any more abilities that consistently damage air units only? Who could damage air units? Let's see, Corruptor, certainly. Now we have Caustic Spray, emits a stream of acid that deals 7 damage per second for 4.3 seconds, then increases to 35 damage per second. So let's find out if this ability is going. Oh, look at that, that didn't got saved. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Let's find out. So I'm selecting Viper, going here, selecting E. Okay, I didn't press accept, so that's the thing. Now accept. I kind of noticed that there was like something off, something just wasn't there. Okay. And that's that. So this will attack air units, I guess. So let's find out how exactly this would work. Okay, as you can see, it attacks air units specifically, and in fact it attacks only one unit. So this is really awesome play against Medivacs. Now why? Because the Medivacs are together, and if you drop it on one, they will all start to take damage because they have to heal consistently together. However, they will stay alive in the end. Alright, that's an interesting thing to know. So let's reset this. Let's take the Medivacs up, and let's test this one more time. I'm sure that if I drop one hit on all of these Medivacs, they will start to move around, and they certainly would not die. Now what to do to make sure they stay dead? Now let's try to hit them twice and see if that does any more damage than it otherwise would. Now it looks like an interesting point to note here is that 2 parasitic bombs are certainly not going to make a difference in this case. So the only way to do this right is by attacking once, making sure like that they take the damage, and then attacking again, and this should be the end for them. Right, now what is another approach of this play? And while I look at it, it could be that I just need to wait a few seconds before I repeat. So I know that few seconds passed, I'm doing another hit. And that's the end of it. Alright, so that's certainly not bad, and that could give me an opportunity here to just do a lot more stuff quicker. Okay, that was certainly a very tough turn force. If we would add something like less gas heavy units like roaches, as you can see, the money kind of equals itself out there, and we would attack with infestors. Let's see if that makes any difference whatsoever. And that certainly makes a big difference. Alright. How can we counter this terrain force right here? Let's get rid of the lanes and hide the risks and focus on the roaches. So these are certainly tough units, and let's try this one out. So how would you bear right now? Okay. Now this time it looks like we did just a little bit more damage. No, it looks like we did not did a little bit more damage, unfortunately. Alright. It looks like this composition just isn't right. Focusing on many more roaches is certainly not going to be the right thing to do. So we are going to buy a few more hydralisks here in this mix. Add even more. Let's see now. This time I suspect I'm going to win this. And let's do this. I have 4 infestors, which is a lot of infestors. And my opponent's force has been heavily damaged there. And it looks like that is certainly a victory. Now, obviously in this fight, the medevacs play very important role. So what can we do about that? It looks like we could as well try and attack the medevacs with the Vipers. Okay, so let's try just that. And now the parasitic cloud is here. No, the parasitic cloud did not work. And as you can see, the Marines survived quite well this time. I've reduced the number of hydralisks I had, so that's the thing. Let us try this one more time without parasitic bombs. So I'm pretty much just fighting. I'm just fighting and the Terran confidently wins. Okay. Now I'm going to use parasitic bombs. I think that the 4 investors is a little bit too many. I'm trying to have a weaker force in general against the Terran in this case, and just kind of see how can I use the abilities to win by having a lot less. But in this case, as you can see, I have nearly 1000 more gas, so that's not that less. Indeed, not that less. In any case, everything here is very gas heavy. Furthermore, let us try this one out. So first things first, I need to key up my units and make sure that I do everything just fine. So I see him coming. I'm throwing all those parasitic clouds, and I'm trying to hit with oh no, my Vipers died. I tried to hit the Medivacs, but my Vipers died. It looks like I somehow have to save the Vipers, so I kind of have to make sure that the Vipers are somewhere there, right? So maybe maybe I just have to kind of try and set the Viper to follow a bunch of units, right? Get the Viper out of my subgroup there, and as well I could get my infestors out, I guess. No, I shouldn't get my infestors out. And if we select everybody certainly selected. I want to take away units. Oh yeah, now I get, okay. As you can see, Vipers were taken away with Alt. Now if I wish to take away these guys, I press Alt 2 and it kind of works. Right, yeah. As you can see that my forces can push infestors, for example, forward. So that's interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Now I have these on too, but I think that they should be added to the main force. And to number 2. Okay. Okay. You should maybe follow an infestor. And that's 38 units. And now I need to see how these hotkeys work. So if I want to add, I press Shift 3 and it would add up here, right there. If I want to take it out and I have selected infestors, I press Shift Alt and select, for example, second group, right there. It got taken out. If I want to overwrite, I take the investors, press Alt, press on 3, I have them in. If I have everybody selected and I want just specific units, so for example, I have an infestor in one base built, an infestor in another base built, right there, one infestor is in my army. In order for me to avoid going into the map around, selecting those infestors everywhere, thinking where they are, I could as well select all army key. Okay, so I select all army key, add it to, for example, a group. Okay, it looks like I can't do that. I can't select my entire army. That's probably just how it works. However, I get kind of my entire force selected, if you know what I mean. And I add it to a number. Let's say I want them to be in my force, so I added it to this. And I press CTRL and click on infestors, and I get infestors selected. So pretty much I don't have to look through the entire map. So the only thing you needed to do is you needed to press all army units. As this one, it should be CTRL, I pressed it but it didn't work, and it looks like it's grayed out here too, so it's not gonna work. In any case, in this my case, I press CTRL, select everybody, right, just like that. Don't even need to add it to a group, just select them all, have them all into perspective. Press CTRL again and just select on unit, and then you can kind of group them and send them all together to an army you wanted. So because sometimes there are, for example, ways where you want to have, where you kind of have this army right here, and you want the roaches to stand ground here because more roaches are coming out of production, and you want these to protect your base against potential drops or overlords. So you select them all with the all army hotkey, then press CTRL, get them here, all three. Then you, like for example, press Alt to overwrite infestors, or in another case, you take this and add them to a single roach somewhere out there, and you send them to your base for protection, while the rest of your troops are just fine here. In any case, let's get these all guys together here now, and get them all lined up there. Then I want the Vipers to be on 2. I want them to follow an infestor that's in the back. Then I want to select all the infestors, get them on 1, and I want to fight my opponent's army. And in this case, I'm going to launch everything I have against Terran ground force. Obviously, infestors are really good at parasitic bomb. However, I have to learn how to do this before the infestor dies, because you see the problem here is that when I attack, the Marines can shoot up, and if such a foolish move such as one infestor moving out ahead of its army, which is probably the case if you, for example, do this, you can see the infestor is moving up quite effectively in front already, right? So I want to avoid that. That's why I want the infestor to follow. Now this follow button right here, I don't like this key, it's just way too far away. I better change it to something else. So I'm selecting this, move M, 65 units share this command. Okay, and which unit would like to use for movement? I wonder. Now. What about space? Jump to the last alert. Obviously, that certainly would not be good. I have to select something else then. What could it be? Because the way I look at it, most of these units are taken. What about caps lock? Yeah, so let's have caps lock here. Let's take a look. Nope. Let's push to alert hotkey space. 2 keys are fine. So if I want you to follow something, I press caps lock and you will follow that unit. I won't have to move all the way through. S stop, I like it. Hold position, it's fine. I need to attack, great. Patrol P, don't do much patrolling anyway, so that doesn't matter once again. But follow, there's certainly something. Now, wait a second, I don't think that it works for me here. So, wait a second. See, if I press M, I get this. Oh yeah, that's because I pressed tab, not caps lock. So, my bad. In any case, caps lock is just fine. Okay. Let's get this force together now. And I want you to follow this roach, let's say. And I select this army, and I want them to attack the Terrans. Okay, myself. So we're moving in. I select the fungal growth. The Terran is just standing there. I managed to get fungal growth on. Then I select the infestor and I target his air units. I use all of my bombs here. And it looks like if I wait a second before I launch those parasitic bombs, is just fine. Okay, let's do this again. Okay. Now, let's do this again, but this time I want you to work things out. Order red units to attack, order blue units to attack. So let's order first of all blue units to attack there. We're on the defensive now, and it looks like my parasitic bombs here have been very badly used. I didn't got any hits on him, and this turns out to be a complete disaster for me. In any case, let's let him attack us one more time. The blue is certainly attacking, and I see what's going on here. Okay, I didn't got the Viper selected, and as you can see, if I I'm not going to issue an attack order, then my units just simply will not engage. Okay, let's move to the arena now. So the attack order must take place, and we'll do this like that. So the attack order is issued, and my Vipers, it's unclear if they managed to make a hit. I haven't noticed any clouds around here at all. In any case, the terrain is certainly very tough. Let's try this again. Now I launched many very good parasitic bombs there. But the terrain would certainly still prevail. No doubts about it. It looks like the battle here starts without the control, because the units are just a little bit too close to each other. Okay, it wasn't the Terrans, it was one of the Hydralisks. And these Hydralisks certainly have upgrades. So their range is increased and movement speed increased too. Okay. I want to kind of manage to... Okay, I need to change this. So that's the choke point. Small choke, large choke. What else do we have? Corridor. It looks like that's not very good. Okay, so that's the hill right here. Let's try a hill play. And it could be that this infestor attack here would not be such a big deal. Okay, let's go for this on 3, you on 2, and you could as well be maybe a little bit away. It looks like it doesn't have energy, so let's give them that energy that they need, and let's do this attack here. Then the Vipers made everybody move forward, so that certainly wasn't so bad. Alright. Now let's go to a field. And field a little bit lags, as you can see, but nothing I can do about it. So let's go to arena. In here, the units are stationed a little bit better now. You see, a turn has many tanks, and that's probably even a better Terran army. In any case, let's give them those upgrades. So that's without upgrades, full energy. So Vipers, as you can see, don't need anything. However, these guys will need to get other units in control. And I'm just gonna try and somehow micromanage this so that I could get the hits there. So this time I'm keeping these guys a little bit behind, and let's do that attack. When I press the attack order, these Vipers will certainly move in, but let's assume that I was keeping them out and on follow order. No, I mean on follow order. So when I select, my entire army selected, Viper's not. When I attack my army, when I order my army to attack, the Vipers do not attack, they just follow. Okay, so I just got them back just for that. And now let's do this like that. Okay, so I should get good hits there. And as you can see, the lightning cloud made everybody move up forward a little bit. However, this certainly wasn't enough. So far, the Zerg is certainly in trouble. Now, once again, these units of mine are being spawned just little too close to each other, and can't do much about it. What else is out there? So I want to know a little more about the Corruptor, and let's find out what the Corruptor is all about. So there's this caustic spray emits a stream of acid that deals 7 damage per second for 4.3 seconds, then increases 35 damage per second, right? Cooldown 32, so that's bad, right? And it looks like that would only attack air units. So let's try this. Let's pick up a battle cruiser and see how this works. It looks like I can't use this. Channeled ability can only target enemy structures. Ah, I see. Alright. Let us build a structure then. And start this. So it cannot target your own units. It looks like I've used the wrong building here. Let's take a look at the Nexus. Okay. Now target this. It looks like they all need to be issued individually. And this attack is going to last for 32 seconds. Obviously the damage is certainly being done, but it's quite slow, right? It's certainly quite slow, but Nexus is 2000 health strong, including the base health and the shield. So that's not bad. Let's find out just how many do we need to take out the Nexus with a relative ease. So now I have 5. Okay, I had like 7 and now I have 12. Now let's try this again. I select them. If I click once on F, it won't attack with everybody, right? So that's bad. But how to get them all together? These guys can't attack just yet because they were recently using their ability. In any case, I was attacking with 10, now I'm going to attack with 12. And these all have to be ordered individually, so I've just pressed F many times. And even then, the attack didn't came in nearly as effectively. Now it's fine. Let us do this. Yeah, it looks like everybody's spraying in. And quite quickly this snipe's taken place. These guys remind me those robots in the Matrix movie. They look very similar. And so that's that for the Vipers. So let's take a look at other units out there that the Zerg has. And that's the Ravager. Now the Ravager attacks with this. Like a hit. I kind of tried to queue it up. Let's try this one more time. So I'm trying to queue up attack on him. As you can see, the attack came. I'm queuing up more, but these attacks are just not there. So I have to continuously press F to get this thing going. Now let's find out how this would work out in battle. So I'll select a few Marauders, a few Marines, and a Sniper. So let's see how this works out. Okay, wasn't so bad. And our opponent will certainly have to move away from us. So let's try this. It looks like so far he's not launching any of his attacks. Launches a missile at a target location, dealing 60 damage. Look at that, they won. Could you believe that? Yeah. Let's just blast them further. Okay, so as you can see, Taran is super tough. Launch a missile, right? Can destroy Protoss force fields.